Hey everyone, welcome to the Last Movie Room podcast. I'm your host, Josh Gilliam. I'm joined as always by my co-host, Alex Cantor.
Hey guys.
Today we're talking about Nobody 2. We've also somehow managed to do this. This is the third week in a row. We're on it.
I'm taking vacation after this.
We're going back to our every 2 week episode after this. Speaking of taking a vacation, Alex, what was the
Wow, that was really
theme?
smooth. I didn't mean it to, but we can cut this part out and then it'll seem as though it was an intentional transition.
No, we'll keep it in. We'll keep it in because you ruined the transition.
But yeah, let's talk about Nobody 2.
Yeah, so we'll do our spoiler free talk about it, give a little bit of a ranking, out of 3 nobodies, how do we do this? And then we'll get into our major spoilers review, which I know you feel very opinionated about this movie. I feel much less opinionated.
I don't feel super opinionated about it. But yes, let's talk about the film, which sees Hutch Manson, played by Bob Odenkirk, shortly after the events of the. Yeah, I notice things. All right, I take notes.
I also take notes, but none of them are the
wrong.
names. Every note I've written, I'm like, Bob Odenkirk is this, Christopher Lloyd is that.
Anyway, this guy Hutch, shortly after the events of the first film, is continuing his career as a sort of operative spy man.
He's like an assassin,
doing jobs to pay off his debt from the first film. When he burned a bunch of money, decides to take it a vacation, and then at this, upon attending this vacation site, this place in the middle of America, middle of nowhere, Plummerville, runs into some crime and sort of similar action, shenanigans, death, destruction galore ensue. Basically, similar to the first film.
Yeah, it's like where his dad took him as a kid, him and his brother, whom I guess I saw the first Nobody like when it released, so I had like no recollection of them being brothers or all I remembered was Christopher Lloyd was in it, and my favorite movie is Back to the Future, so I just love anything Christopher Lloyd is in. Like that's really all I remember. Yeah, and I enjoyed that. Pretty much every scene with him in it, I was like, this is a banger. And everything else, I was like, this is fine.
It was one of the movies of all time.
Yeah. one of the most movies.
Anyway, spoiler free. What did you think?
I thought it was fine. It's, I think we're coming off the back of so many good movies because, like the end of August, September is kind of a lull in the theatrical release schedule, and it's like we've just come off the back of Naked Gun last week. We did Fantastic Four the week before. The episode before that was Superman. Like we're coming off some good stuff. I think we did Formula One before that. So this is the first one in a while where I'm like, this is okay.
Yeah. I'd also say that, you're talking about coming off the back of lots of movies and like how it performs based on that. It was a struggle for me to find a movie theater nearby me that was showing this, which I thought was odd. But yeah, I don't know if this was just where I am in the UK, or I assume most theaters by you were showing it, but yeah, because none of the film theaters that I normally go to, I've seen the past couple of films we've seen in, were showing the film at all, which I thought was unusual. And then I saw some headlines saying that it didn't perform great its first weekend. But I don't know if they're showing it less places, what their budget was filmed, theaters weren't expecting people to watch it. I'm not totally sure.
I really just kind of think it's more of like the first one did well, but it wasn't like this. I told you right before we started, to me, this is like a poor man's John Wick. The first one was the same. Basically, it's like
I did like the first film. I was looking forward to this one. I did like First Nobody.
I know you asked if we could do this one this week.
I don't remember asking that, but yes, sure, I asked.
No, when we were making the schedule, you said, "Ooh, can we do Nobody 2?" And I said, "Fuck, all right, yeah."
Yeah,
but
10 minutes into watching it, I was like, "Oh, okay."
You're like, damn, bro, who asked for this? Who is
Look,
he
I
making me
think
do this?
that you're right. They made this film. They weren't expecting to make this film, I don't think, when they
No.
released the first one. But because of how well it did, this one was made. I mean, I think it's far enough apart that that's pretty clear. Um,
Yeah.
and so the um, film layout, sort of the plot arc and like what happens over the course of the film is very similar to the first one because they were like the first one. I assume the first one worked. We'll copy paste it, different setting, different villains, but same characters, like you said. Most of the characters that we saw in the first one, um, show up in this one as well. The protagonists.
Yeah.
Um, so they just took what worked before and tried it again. And although there's some cool scenes, I wasn't too much of a fan of this film.
No, I think it kind of falls into that classic like action movie sequel where if you release an action movie and it's a big hit, you're going to release a sequel and it's either going to be like you're now going to have 6 movies in this franchise because the sequel was so good, or you've killed the franchise. And I have a feeling Nobody 2 falls into the latter category.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to be seeing a Nobody 3.
This thing's really got to have some legs on it if we're gonna see a sequel, because like you said, this did not do that well. And I have the numbers open.
We can cut
So
out the part where you
Nobody
Google
2
numbers.
has cracked $15 million as of right now. I think it's been in theater a week or two. It costs 25 million.
It's not that high. I mean, it's not a
No.
super CGI film.
No, and you know what
Cool
actually
practical effects.
surprised me is this movie costs so little. One, there's like nobody in this. So kind of like I'm not surprised. Like Bob Odenkirk and Christopher Lloyd and like the wife who's the actress name escapes me, but they I'm sure got paid some decent money for this. Connie Nielsen is the wife, but I'm sure they got some good money for this, but I don't think anyone else did. Maybe Colin Hanks, the guy who plays the sheriff. Worst sheriff ever, by the way.
Yeah, very corrupt.
The most corrupt. But you know what? This cost less to make than the Naked Gun from last week. By like 20 million.
Wow. I mean, they had some pretty intense effects and CGI and
That
stuff over the course
snowman
of it.
from the Naked Gun pushed him
And
over.
and also, yeah, that snowman cost him $20 million. And probably I imagine Liam Neeson's paycheck was a bit higher. I'm not
Probably.
Sure. But look, I think, like I'm saying, they redid what the film was before. But in order to do that, they had to like follow that similar character arc, have it plot throughout the film. They had to sort of reset a bit, I think, or have the same character arc that the actors that Hutch had already gone through in the last film. So they did all over again. It's different this time. I will talk more about spoilers later, but in the end of the first film, he has decides to go, he's been working at home at some, I forget what his job was in the first film, but basically nothing to do with his work as a, operative, if that's the term that they use in the film. And then over the course of the film, he decides to go back to work, and then his wife loves him so much more because now he's going out and killing people, and his kids respect him, and they're all one big happy family. And we start off this film, Nobody 2, with his wife unhappy again, similar to the first one, but this time she's unhappy because he's working too much, and the kids are unhappy because he's working too much, and so it's like they were like, okay, well, let's take the ending of the first film and then just make it a bad thing so that we can have this similar progression, which I thought was a bit silly and really just takes you out of it.
Yeah, I don't think Nobody 2 was ever supposed to be made, because Nobody 1, I do remember the ending, and it was very much like okay, yeah, we're happy now because I'm killing again and our relationship is all sorts of fucked, and the kids are happy because the family's also fucked that I'm killing, and
Yeah.
Like it was a good
But that
thing.
was like that was the end of it. Whatever.
Yeah. It's like I
Um,
burned all this money and now it's a problem. He burned all this
yes.
money.
Look, I think that anyone going to see this movie knows why they're going to see it. They're going to see it because Nobody, the first one, had loads of cool action sequences. The trailer looked hype. It's Bob Odenkirk, family man, um, going out and like beating the shit out of people. And that's why you go to see it. But that's obviously can't be the full movie. There's, action sequence, a bit of story, action sequence, a bit of story. And the story is just I'm gonna give it the benefit of doubt. It's the action movie. It's not a CinemaSins video. We're not gonna dig into the plot holes.
Of
But
course.
the wife is like such a shallow character, flip-flopping back and forth in her opinion based on like what the writers think Hutch needs to hear. So she
Yeah.
starts off like, "You work too much," and then she's like, "I have a busy day. I have to leave for work. I can't talk to you." When he's like making an effort to talk to her, and
Yeah.
it's just like all over the place. She is not her own real character. She's just there as like a backboard to like give family man Hutch some problems to deal with as a family man.
Hmm.
So totally takes you out of it because, although there could be an interesting character and exploration of that, they just don't do that at all. They just sort of set her back to the first movie as sort of a minor antagonist in his family life, while he also has antagonist in, like the action sequence thing. Um, and I don't think it's especially redeemed by the action sequences. There's a really cool one on a boat, but the rest
Yeah.
of them, I was like, okay, I don't know. I don't think there weren't such cool action sequences. I was like, oh, awesome. I don't mind the fact that all the characters are super shallow, which is normally what happens in an action movie anyway, right?
Hmm.
Um, there was probably a similar problem in Nobody Won, but I didn't notice as much because the action sequences are sick and um, they, the plot was believable enough and it wasn't like so redone. They didn't have a first movie to copy off of, but it was different enough that I was able to look past that stuff. But it's just too obvious in this one, and I was like, I can't. Um, yeah, I don't know.
I do think the action sequences were better in the first one. This one, it didn't have that many compared, I don't think. Like we got the one on the boat, which was actually really heavily in the trailers. Um, and we
I
also
mean, there
got
weren't many in the first one either. I don't think like the first like at least third of the movie was just him like being depressed at his day job before he beats some people up on a bus, right?
yeah, but they hit so much harder, I think. Maybe it was about the same, but the boat one was good. We got one in a like a warehouse, then we got like the final action sequence. And I don't know, it was fine. You ready to move
I
into
think that
spoilers
yeah,
or
we can move into spoilers. Yeah, I just yeah, let's move into spoilers. I think maybe in the next conversation will be spoiler territory when we talk about these
yeah.
action sequences.
First, how many Bob Odenkirks would you rate this out of 3?
I've just shit talked it a lot, but I'm gonna give it a 2 nobodies out of 3.
Okay. Um yeah, I feel like 2 is good cuz I didn't like we've done some movies on here that I'm like really fighting to get through, but it wasn't like that, but it was like, we've done better things.
Yes. Yeah.
So yeah, I think 2. It's fine. It's a good wait for streaming movie.
Yeah. Yeah. But it got very good reviews, I've heard. So,
It
but
has
again,
decent reviews, yeah.
that's the people who are watching it know why they're watching it. You know what I mean? Like it's not,
Yeah. We're here to see
if you,
Bob Odenkirk be a guy who's like, I love my family, but I don't want to spend any time with my family, and also I hate them.
yeah.
He's the best when you need someone to play that character. He did it in Better Call Saul. He did it in Nobody. That's his bread
Exactly.
and butter. All right.
All right. Let's talk about some spoilers.
Major spoilers, everyone. If you haven't seen this movie, just I don't know, wait for streaming. We we just said that. Don't just wait. Um, but yeah, let's talk about the action sequences. I think the one on the boat was like
That's
this was a.
exactly the one I was talking about.
What are you wanting to talk about for it?
No, no, no. You go ahead. You go ahead.
So first of all, it is a very cool action sequence because like the whole thing is he's been told like, okay, you got to get the fuck out of town, and he's like, I just want to go to a water park. I don't want to deal with all this. The whole thing starts because his son gets bullied, and the guy just blows it out of the water.
Yeah.
And Bob, and it's not even
Which I thought
his
was
fault.
funny. Yeah, that's our first action sequence. It's just
But
him like beating some arcade employee's ass. Whoever
yeah,
gets paid like what, probably $8 an hour.
yeah. I think I used to
He's
work at
working
an
too hard for
arcade and I made like $9 an hour
it.
starting pay. So yeah,
And
he's
you
just
also had people coming in beating you up
oh every day. It was just
on
like
the regular.
they told me in the interview, they were like, hey, there's this guy who comes in regularly
There's
and
just one guy.
he just starts
And it was
fighting.
Bob Odenkirk. And it was Bob
It is Bob
Odenkirk.
Odenkirk. He comes in here and he just starts fighting us. So just
But
um
yeah, what do you want to say about the boat action sequence?
I thought it was really good. I took a note. I took a couple notes during that sequence. That one had my attention. Um let's see. Oh, first of all, there's an elevator scene at the very beginning where he fights
Oh
someone and
yeah.
they play jazz music. It was a cool action scene, but also all I could think of was Mario Kart 8 because of the jazz music. Um also Christopher Lloyd when he's first introduced is just smoking a cigar and he's like, "Hey man, you can't just be smoking that." And he's like, "You fucking you pussy, I'm going to smoke this cigar."
And he just puts it
Um
out in his hand.
yeah. Um, let's see. Yeah, he says something like he's fighting people with a pole, like an oar, and he throws it overboard.
Yeah.
He's like, now no one gets the pole. And the guy's immediate comeback is, I got a knife.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
top tier writing on that one. And
Yeah, they had some odd lines in the action sequences.
then he immediately chops off his pinky. And I'm like, oh damn, all right. This is like when John Wick lost his middle finger and he had to like learn how to do shit for a minute. But no, it's like never a problem
Yeah.
for him. He just doesn't have his pinky finger anymore.
Yeah, I think that the boat action sequence gave me the most vibes of the bus sequence we were just talking about in the
Yeah.
first one. But it was like, really gritty and I just like the way it was choreographed. But you're right. In the first one, they hit a lot harder. I think because you have the whole buildup of him like on the verge of crashing out. And then when he finally does, you're like, hell yeah. And it's really cool. And it's, he's getting back into it or whatever. That was well choreographed. But like this one, you don't have any of that. There's no like build up to like, oh, finally we're getting to see this action movie that I came for. It's like just right from the beginning. So like
Yeah.
they sort of try and have that by playing some, tense music when the employee smacks his kid and then he like beats people up in the arcade. They just didn't hit the same. I was just like, okay. So I think they got close to the boat scene. I like that. I thought that was cool.
Hmm.
That's more about how it was choreographed, less about like how it hit when he finally, you know what I mean? Like they'd already gotten to the point they'd established he was this action guy, but
Yeah.
they're also trying to do that plot from the first film where he's like having trouble at home.
Hmm. Yeah.
The other thing, yeah, I mean, go ahead.
No, I think you're right because the first one he is like we do see the crash out and he's like really fighting this mundane life, and this one he doesn't have his mundane life. He's like he's doing that thing he missed from the first one, but now he's like, ugh, I'm over it. So it's like, dude, pick a struggle.
Yes. And then also, like, you can't, people are going to see the movie because there's cool action sequences. So if you have this guy who's like, if your main character, the protagonist of the movie, the one everyone's cheering for, is like, oh, I'm over it, you got to be careful not to make the audience also be like, oh, I'm over it too. Like, that's the vibe I'm getting from this movie. And I
Yeah.
don't think they did get a job of towing that line. I think
No,
they,
they did
yeah,
not.
went too far and they're like, yeah, okay, yeah, you're over it too, you know, eat your popcorn and watch this film,
Yeah.
And also, I mean, a big action sequence I wanted to talk about was the one at the end where they, similar to the first one, they get, I mean, the first one is a warehouse, I think. But
Yeah.
in this one, it's like a water park that they set up with loads of traps. There's a trap setting sequence, again, similar to the first one. And then loads of soldiers show up, and there's lots of creative ways of people dying.
Yeah. I feel like the first one did a really good job with the warehouse sequence. It was like almost believable. Like, okay, you set all this up and it's believable. And the second one, if it had stuck to like, okay, we put some mines in the ball pit and some other things, I'd be like, okay, all right, it's fine. But there are parts where like surfboards fall from the ceilings and they're like
Yeah,
stuck with knives through them. I'm like,
it's
this is a
I
Home Alone level. Like, what are we
I get
doing?
they're trying to like, be creative and cool and use the idea of a water park and what could go wrong and that sort of thing. But it stops pretty quickly. It stops being a cool action sequence about the skills of Hutch and I've and his dad and his brother's not there, but etc. Um, and it's just like, how conveniently can a group of trained soldiers repeatedly walk into things?
Yeah, right. It is kind
Like
of ridiculous.
yeah, they could walk around the ball pit, and then then what do you do? You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Or like you said, the surfboards with knives on them swinging, and they happen to be standing on the right side of the surfboard. I mean, what else? There's a part where the not the sheriff, but like the leader of the um crime in the town, the one whose son Hutch
Yeah,
originally beats up. He's like gets shot a couple times and then runs away. And then there's like two soldiers immediately behind him who just shot him, holding guns, pointing them at him, and then they don't shoot while he like turns around the corner. And then they walk after him, I think, and get hit with the surfboards. It's
yeah.
just like, come on. Yeah, it's like so not believable that we already have a plot that's not believable with shallow characters that are flip flopping, and then you like have this big action sequence that again is just like a bunch of soldiers going down a water slide into some spikes. Again, takes you out of it. What's supposed to be the big climactic thing, and then it ends up being the most exciting part of the movie. Is like a fight on a boat 20 minutes in.
Yeah. I did take some notes from the water park, the final action scene. I wrote one right before we do, we've not really brought up the bad guy, the main villain of the movie. She's fine. She does like one thing in this movie, and that's die, essentially.
Yeah, but it's an action movie villain. It doesn't have to be very. Again, we're not talking about plot holes, but killing someone and saying nobody cheats in my casino to make a point, and then killing everyone who saw that happen just to become a villain. I was like, come on. But whatever. I don't really care as long as she's a cool villain. She does some weird dancing, has a tiny pet dog that she
Yeah.
strokes and laughs maniacally. Um, and then dies at the end. Great. That's all I needed. You know
It
what I
was
mean? It
fine.
doesn't have to be very fleshed out.
I like that her main
I
thing
don't
is
really
just
care.
barking orders. Like as soon as like she's shot in the eye with a tranquilizer dart by the wife character, and instead of like being like fuck you or
Yeah.
something, she says kill them. Like she's
And there's nobody
again barking
around.
an
I thought that
order
was
on the
sick.
way
And
out.
also, we all hated the sheriff, and then she's like, kill that guy."
Yeah.
I was like, "Yeah,
Yeah.
I get you."
I
Um,
think I wrote down the sheriff definitely deserved that death. He's a dick. I also wrote what the fuck kind of landmine was in that ball pit because the explosion that comes off of it is
right?
so
I
humongous.
know. I mean, shrapnel or anything, it just straight rips the arms off their bodies. I think.
It just disintegrates them. No shrapnel there. And I also wrote, how did he have the time to rig this many Home Alone traps?
Right?
And how do you even set up what happened in the water slide?
Exactly. And they do all this in that time. And then it's just like so many ways it simply would not have worked.
Mm,
But if you have a trap sequence like that, it has to be like they were gonna walk through this door and trip that. You know what I mean? But if it's just like they
yeah.
could walk around the ball pit, they could have not taken the slide. You know what I mean? They could have not walked into the, followed him into the surfboards. There's so many like they could not just not have done that it's like and it makes it not worth the effort they put in, and then also you just don't really care as the audience member. It's
One of
just like
the
how creative can they get in the writing room coming up with cool ways for a carnival to kill people. And then that's it. That you see through the veil of action movie to just they're just spitballing ideas. A couple people sitting in a room saying, "Oh, what if the surfboards have knives?" And then it's not as cool.
Yeah. One of the traps is a gun that's duct taped to the side of a water
Yeah,
slide.
yeah.
And
And then he
my
has to leap out the water slide first, I guess.
no, it's a different water slide. It's not the same one he pulled the spikes from. It's like a different water slide, and it comes in handy later on. But come on, like my first thought when he's duct taping that thing there, I'm like, a bad guy's just gonna pick it up and shoot you with it. But no, instead everyone ignores the duct taped water slide gun and just he uses it later on to kill one of the sisters who is like,
Oh, I didn't realize that's what killed the sister.
you thought just she died.
Yeah, I mean, at that point in the movie, I think they're like, we were getting pretty near the end. I was like, sure, he probably had a gun on him. Maybe there was another surfboard that comes down from the sky.
Comes down
Introduce
from the
these
sky with a
like,
gun on it.
you know, two sisters who I guess we're assuming their sisters are very close friends based on the scream when she died, who like have nice skills and are also beating the fuck out of Hutch with some
Yeah.
like iron bats. He should be dead. Okay.
Very,
They
yeah.
are they are hitting him for a long time. And so they introduce these two characters for some melee combat, and then like a couple minutes later it's over.
Mm-hmm.
They're trying to introduce too many characters. They're
It
trying to be
was.
John Wick too much, but at the same time, they're trying to be John Wick, except it's a family man. But they wrote themselves into a hole with the first movie, where they made him not a family man anymore and made him, cool operative going out doing missions. And then they try and go back to him being a family man, but they can't really because he's already badass. And then like you said, they weren't going to make this, so they wrote themselves. I mean, not intentionally; they didn't know it was going to happen, but they wrote themselves into a hole, and then they have to write themselves out of it, and they do that with some, I think, pretty weak side character writing. To have the
Yeah.
wife sort of bring him back into needing to be more part of his family, and I don't know, it's just all over the place. I know I'm still giving it 2 stars because it's just a stupid action movie. I wasn't forcing myself to sit through it. I was like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
these are some cool sequences, like the choreography of it. And Bob Odenkirk plays a great Hutch, but it's a low two. You know,
Yeah. That's
uh,
that's fair. It's
I like you
really
said, wait for streaming. I would wait for streaming.
this is
If you can even find it in a theater near you, don't
yeah, you do
watch it
have
on.
some problems finding things in theaters. I live in Orlando near all the like Disney parks, so of course there's like a massive like event holding AMC next to me that plays every movie ever released. So
What was a theater full?
no, it wasn't. It very much wasn't. And it was in like it's like a dine-in AMC. Like they bring you food. Like the dine-in
Like
theaters are
seriously.
always packed. And there was like no one in it when I went to see it. Everyone was too busy seeing the Naked Gun. All right. So first of all, during the boat fight, when after he loses his pinky and gets thrown overboard, everyone's like, who the fuck is this guy? And he climbs back overboard. Pretty much everyone gets knocked unconscious, or at least to like a fucking inch of their life, except one guy who I guess, what's his name? Hutch.
Hmm.
Bob Odenkirk, the man, decides this one individual deserves to get an anchor in his shoulder blade and thrown overboard. I don't know if you got that.
Yeah, he gets yanked off. Also, separately, they don't mention that we're not talking about plot holes. I said I'd stay away from plot holes. They have a whole action sequence happens with the sort of like that teacher when Spider-Man's fighting I don't, is it the lizard guy, whatever
Mm-hmm.
his name is, in
The
Amazing
lizard.
Spider-Man. And this the lizard, and there's like that janitor like
Yeah.
sweeping, and they have that exact same thing happen on the boat, basically with like this couple, and um, assumedly they get to the end of the boat ride and they turn around and they see like this old guy sitting there like with mixing a pinky all bloodied and like several cops
Mm-hmm.
because some of them are in uniform. Anyway, I'm not talking about plot holes.
Yeah,
But
I
yes,
did
he gets yanked over the side. What they also don't mention is that pinky's got to be infected, man. I think Hutch
for
should see a
sure.
doctor. That water did not look clean.
It no, it did not. And you're probably right, and he never will. We'll get Nobody 3, and he's got like a weird, grotesque mutant pinky that's grown from the mystery drug running town water. It's like a pure cocaine pinky that's just morphed. Do I have any other miscellaneous notes? No. I don't know. This movie was fine. It
Yeah,
wait for streaming. That's like I
wait for
can't
stream.
stress that enough.
It was one of the movies of all time.
Yeah. Yeah, 2 stars. I feel like that's good. All right. Yeah, we'll be back doing a
Wow,
better movie in the next 2
this
weeks.
took a lot out of you. I thought you were gonna do the outro, and then you're just like, "Yeah, man."
Yeah, I don't know how to end this one. Normally I'm like, man, that was so good, and I'm excited to do next week, but this one I'm like, we'll be back, I guess.
That's exactly how Hutch felt.
Well, yeah,
That's
when he
exactly how
does.
I felt leaving that. I was like, "Yeah, I'll talk about this movie, I guess."
Yeah. We'll be back in 2 weeks doing Caught Stealing, the new Austin Butler movie.
Oh, okay. I'm excited for that one.
I'm also excited for that one. That should be really good. If you like this, go check out our other episodes of this. We did the Naked Gun last week. That was really fun because it was just us recalling bits for 25 minutes. And we have another podcast on here called Trading Paperbacks with my friend Gary, where we talk all about comic books and the likes of that. And you and I have a little sub series for this called Hit or Miss. The first episode's going out. I said it would be last week. Guess what? It's this week. Didn't have time to finish that. But we talk about Fantastic Four 2005. So that's good. And we'll be back in 2 weeks. Adios, everyone.
Adios.
Adios.